Shabbat Shalom, and this is 10 minutes of Torah. Not 5, or is it 6 Jewish holidays, and not one Jewish state that exists in this world, but 10 minutes of Torah. Well, this Shabbat, as perhaps you can tell, I am broadcasting from the holy city of Jerusalem, at Yerushalayim. I'll give you a little bit of the view behind me. There you see some of the streets and whatnot, and perhaps you'll hear some of the sounds of Jerusalem. The sound I hear most often are the beautiful sound of children playing in the streets. But here I am in Jerusalem. I will be at Temple Bethel for Shabbat. It's part of the miracle of modern life. I'm first broadcasting 10 minutes of Torah from Jerusalem, and I'll be at Bethel to talk about my experiences in Israel on Shabbat. This week's Torah portion is Pinchas. And Pinchas is a very, very interesting and controversial figure in the Torah. You see, Pinchas last week killed 2 people in an act of zealotry. What did he do? Well, there was a prince of Israel and a Moabite woman engaged in idol worship. And of course, you might guess the act that they were doing literally in worshiping the idol, because Pinchas took a spear, stabbed them both together, one right through. So they were pretty close proximity there, and he kills them both in this one moment. And this week the Torah picks up on that because it's not sure. Is this good? Is this not good? Is it somewhere in between? Something we will discuss, although not in this week's 10 minutes of Torah. The Torah portion continues with a very interesting question which is raised by a group of women. You see, there was someone named Tzlofchad, and according to ancient law and in the Bible, only boys, only men would inherit their fathers. Well, this poses the question, what if there aren't any men in the family? What should be done? Moses, interestingly, doesn't know the answer. He has to ask God, what should be done? The answer was that the daughters of Tzlofchad can indeed inherit what he had when they go into the land, a portion that he's supposed to get into the land of Israel. So perhaps one of the more early feminist activities in the Torah occurs in this week's Torah portion, the inheritance that the daughters of Tzlofchad receive. Now, you might ask, well, shouldn't, of course, all children receive inheritance equally? That's, certainly the case in our lives, in our society. But remember, this is thousands of years ago, and this is a step in that right direction. And then you have a series of appointments, another kind of a census of the tribal leaders, followed by a listing of the Jewish holidays. Now, I said, is it 5 or is it 6? And that's a good question. We have the Shalosh Regalim, the 3 pilgrimage festivals, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. We have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. They are all mentioned. And there's another holiday mentioned there, Shabbat. Is Shabbat, though, a holiday or something else? It's a good question. But what happens is this week's Torah portion is the most read Torah portion throughout the year. Because every time we have a holiday, we read about its description in terms of how we would offer sacrifices on each holiday. So not only 6 times, but actually Rosh Chodesh, a 7th time, which is a quasi-holiday, it's read. So that would be 8 times during the year we read something from this week's Torah portion. So the question is Shabbat a holiday, or is Shabbat a day of rest, or is it both? That's also something worth thinking about. But what I'd really like to talk about this week is less direct Torah and more what I'm experiencing now, and have, of course, experienced every time I come to Israel, and what is going on. I will talk more on Shabbat about all the kinds of things I've learned and seen and observed here in Israel. But I want to reflect in this 10 minutes of Torah just about what it means to have a state of Israel. The reason I say that is because after October 7th, 2023, when that occurred, it was really the first time since probably 1967, maybe since 1948, where the question of whether or not the state of Israel would continue was raised. I say that because we look at it as this invasion, and the Israeli army, of course, responded and has continued to respond. And the truth of the matter is, we were fortunate that when Hamas had their invasion, that they were the only ones at that moment that invaded. Now you notice that since then, Israel has taken out Hezbollah. Israel has neutralized, by taking out Hezbollah, Syria, and that government has changed. Israel has attacked and destroyed Iran's ability to manufacture atomic weapons, whose purpose was only to threaten the state of Israel. Imagine, though, had all of those forces, and we'll throw the Houthis in there too from Yemen, imagine had they decided, and it's not clear why they didn't, imagine had they decided on October 7th to all attack at the same time. It would have been a terrible disaster and massacre. And people have feared for the state itself. Well, fortunately, and really we should say thank God, Israel instead has come out, I think, stronger, and has defeated all of its enemies, but it's still going through that process, really, of what did this mean? And that is exactly the feelings that I get speaking to my Israeli relatives who are here, speaking to people at the Hartman Institute where I've been studying all week, seeing Israelis on the street. There was a great fear, and there still is a great fear. What would be the future of the Jewish state? So being here is, to me, a great celebration of the fact that Israel continues not only to exist, but to flourish. I look around, and one of the things that inspires me, I see in this neighborhood a chassid. I see a secular Israeli running, on the track here. There's a train tracks that they've made a walkway running on Shabbat. I see modern Orthodox. I went to a beautiful minyan on Shabbat made up of professors from the Hebrew University and Tel Aviv University, which professors of Talmud and Bible. And you know what? Interestingly, what traditions did they follow? They followed our conservative traditions. So seeing the different peoples, people from France, people from Morocco, from Iraq, from America, seeing this tapestry of people reminds me, and we should always be reminded periodically, that who we are here in Israel is a true miracle. That we were somehow, after the terrible tragedy of the Shoah, of the Holocaust, somehow able to make a state and to ensure that Holocausts won't happen. And so when October 7th occurred, in spite of all of these fears, we were still able to flourish and keep things together as a state, but still processing that. Well, I leave you thinking about both the fears of the state of Israel and the beauty of it, and Pinchas, which celebrates Jewish holidays, 5, 6, maybe Rosh Chodesh is 7, and also the fact that there is a one Jewish state in the world, and that there is also 10 minutes of Torah. This has been 10 minutes of Torah. Shabbat Shalom from Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, the holy city of Jerusalem.